guys, it's Janique or the NOLA Expat back with new hair. Today I'm going to tell you about tips for ESL teachers. How to keep your sanity in Korea when you are a teacher. I am a teacher at 4 schools, which is kind of crazy, but kind of really awesome. First, please don't assume that teaching in Korea is going to be the same, because it is not the same at all. For the most part, in public school, rote learning is the master of education. Number 2, learn Korean. I cannot emphasize this enough. Learn Korean, or at least the Korean alphabet. It is so easy. I actually learned the alphabet in maybe 2 days. You are not going to be able to communicate like you think with students. A lot of the time, the program tells us that we don't need to know Korean, but you really should. You really should. It's going to help you immensely to be able to teach and understand your students. Third, Korean surprise. Maybe one of the first things I learned in our orientation was the Korean surprise. Meaning, you better be flexible. Be able to roll with the punches. If your co-teacher says, hey, class is canceled today, you have to be okay with that. The kids have a lot of field trips. The kids have a lot of special events, special school days, and you might not always be privy to that information, especially if you have traveling schools like I do. I have 4 schools, 3 of which I have only once a week, and 1 of which I have twice a week. So I cannot keep up with all of the schedules. Even though I do have calendars for each of those schools, there's always something that's going to pop up. So you have to be ready to just be like, okay, well, no class today, that's cool. Learn your students' interests. Because if you can figure out that your students like certain things, and you can put those into your lesson, then your students will be a little more able and willing to pay attention in your class. For instance, I have 4 classes at my high school that I teach first graders only, which would be 9th grade high schoolers in the West. And there's about 30 students per class, so that's a lot of kids. One of the things that I do like about Korean culture is that even though it can be kind of frustrating that people tend to follow the same path or tend to go with like the crowd mentality here, that it kind of works for when your kids all like the same thing. Especially when your kids like LOL, League of Legends, or you'll hear LOL, LOL, League of Legends. That's what the kids are saying. So I do a lot of lessons for LOL sometimes, game, Japanese animation, because the kids love anime. One Piece is king here. Soccer, kids, the boys love soccer. Anything with Messi and the Real Madrid and those teams from the European nations, they love it. Girls, K-pop boy bands. You need to keep up to date with K-pop boy bands. Like it or not, your girls love K-pop, okay? But they have very specific tastes, so it can always change. If you buy a bunch of stickers of EXO, the next day the students are gonna like BTS and they're gonna be like, teacher, what? EXO? So you really have to try to understand what your kids like and don't like. My elementary school students love Minecraft, but also they really enjoy watching some of the more popular YouTubers in Korea play Minecraft, like Doti TV and Yangti. Those are really great resources sometimes that I use in class for when I want to quiet the class down a little bit before we actually start our lesson, because the kids go silent. Number 5, lower your expectations. I came into teaching, of course, with the number one idea of assuming I knew what I was in for. A lot of times for some classes, you will notice that the co-teacher, the Korean teacher, is the disciplinarian, is the ruler of the classroom, and you are just fun-time teacher. You have a mission to be able to teach the kids speaking, and a lot of times the kids won't want to speak at all, and especially not in English. I have a harder time with the high school students at the technical high school because they are already aware of the fact that they don't represent that typical teenager that's studying hard, working towards college, because a lot of them really aren't going to go to college. They're going to go into the workforce, because a lot of times you'll get high school students either in regular high school or technical high school. Some may stay up studying all night long and then they're sleeping in class. Korean schools are structured where you go to school from basically 8:30 or 9 to about 4:30 or 5 p.m. And then afterwards, usually some students will go to academy or hagwon and continue studying. And they won't stop until 11:30, midnight, sometimes even later. So it's really hard for these students. So don't expect too much from these students. Not to say that they can't do amazing, but they aren't going to want to put in so much effort if they already know that other people think they're not worth it. So you really have to slowly pull and try to bring out that motivation for these students. Even with rowdy classes, you will have a lot of times where you just don't want to deal with your class, because the elementary school students, they don't want to listen today, they want to play around and scream and all this stuff, and then maybe your co-teacher is just like, they're kids, they don't have to study, let them play. It can get frustrating. But like again with tip number 3, just go with the flow. Maybe that day, okay, let them play like a little game or two or something, and then try to redirect the class back on topic. Number 6, find other teacher mentors. This is a really important thing if you are serious about being a teacher in Korea or an ESL teacher, regardless. My teacher mentor is actually my coordinator. He is phenomenal and he has been teaching for maybe 5 or 6 years now. Find people who have experience here in Korea who are, at least in your eyes, succeeding in teaching or doing something that you really like or something you really agree with in their teaching method. A lot of times talking to other teachers helps because you guys can share lesson plans or games. Number 7, utilize your resources. Again, as I said, with your teacher mentor can tell you about things that you don't even know about. There is a website called wegook.org, which a lot of the foreign teachers here know very well. If you are within your 2nd or 3rd year, Wegook starts to become less of a useful resource. So you have to be open to looking into other resources or to pulling ideas from other places, whether that be science or math or even like physical education activities. It's really important to try to think outside the box when you want to have creative classes or create something or create a lesson that your kids would be more interested in. Number 8, be aware of your responsibilities in your contract and the responsibilities that you do not have to do in your contract. Because not all the time will your co-teachers or schools be looking out for you and your best interest. It's a really sad fact of life here in Korea, but we are the foreigner. We are the outsider. And if you aren't part of the group, then they're not looking out for you sometimes. So be sure that you're not being overworked, underpaid, or misused or mistreated in your job. You have to be able to protect yourself against teachers and schools that may try to use you to their advantage. Please refer to your contract and know what you are responsible in performing and what you are not responsible in performing. And don't be afraid to say no. A lot of stories I heard before coming to career were, oh, you have to do everything that the school says or that the teacher says. But if you're already working within the contract, within the rules of your contract, and you know this is something that is not right that they're asking you to do, don't do it. Don't feel uncomfortable saying no. Number 9, be consistent with your classroom management and with your promises. We all know that we have some students that just drive us crazy. And we all know we have some students that are just like the angels of our sweet little hearts. And we don't want to be that kind of teacher that picks favorites in the classroom. We really don't. Because every child is a good child. They really just have maybe some problems going on at home, or some learning disabilities, or something that we might not know about. So that would probably cause problems in the classroom or spill over into the classroom. So we have to do our best as teachers to be consistent, even with good students or bad students. If we're going to punish one student and praise the other for the same behavior, that looks so bad on you as a teacher, and then that tells the student, hey, well, this kid can do this and get away with it, but I can't. That's not what we want to teach the kids. And if you make promises, be consistent with those too. You are, to some extent, an authority figure in their lives. And not every student, but a lot of students will come to trust you and have faith in you and really love you as a teacher. So if you promise your students candy for a good job well done, you should definitely try to stick to your promises, because they'll grow to believe you, to trust you, and you don't want to break that trust. Number 10, and the last tip for ESL teachers: create a balanced life. I had so much trouble with this in the beginning because I had no idea what I was doing at all. Lesson plans are my biggest issue. My duties as a teacher, my responsibilities as a teacher, I know I'm supposed to teach them English, but I had no idea in what way, what were my co-teachers looking for. A lot of them weren't very verbal in expressing what they actually wanted from me in the classroom. So I struggled a lot with creating lesson plans that were geared towards speaking for my students. A lot of times I would bring that work home. I would lesson plan at home, and that is the absolute worst thing to do. Do not lesson plan at home. If anything, try to use the time that you have at school to lesson plan and finish lesson planning. It will make your work and life balance so much better. Okay, even if you have to get outside and go to a coffee shop or something, use their Wi-Fi and lesson plan. That's one of the things that my teacher mentor actually told me, is you create stress at home, and then you are stressed at home when you do those lesson plans, and that just makes for stress at work, stress at home, stress everywhere. Like, you don't feel comfortable. So try to utilize your time the best you can at school and make sure you get those lesson plans done. So I hope these 10 tips help you in being a good teacher. In the next few weeks, you are going to see videos and pictures and all the fun things that I did with my best friends in Japan. Anyways, that's all for now. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe to my channel. So remember, be courageous, be curious, but always be kind. Nyan! You know what I mean? I'm just like, what? What? You know? I bought so much stuff. I'm off to see Nuria, my friend who lives in Songnam, which is like a little bit away from Seoul. Still in the next few weeks, you will see because